Yeah.
You will never see me leave a single weight out, mainly because I manage gyms for so long. I know what a big pain in the ass this is.
Right.
Where people, for some reason, here's a real common one. They'll take all the weights off except for one plate. It's like, why leave the one? Like, take them all off, right? Yeah. Or even worse, they leave it completely on. Like, you go to the leg press and there's 10 plates on each side, and then some lady wants to use it. And you're like, really? You know, she's got to take all these weights off now just to do her exercise? Like, put your stuff away. Or dumbbells that are all over the place or mismatched. Oh my God, this is such a pain in the ass. And you can tell a good gym from a bad gym by how bad this is. All right, check this out. I know the gym that you go to has rules on the contract, but there are unwritten rules that are true for every single gym. And today, we're going to teach you all of those rules. You're welcome.
We need to remind everybody.
Get a pen and paper.
Now the gyms are packed again.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because you don't see a lot of these rules written anywhere. But if you work out in gyms long enough, or you manage gyms like we did, these are real rules. It's like, what do you call it? Gym etiquette or the unspoken rules. Like, these are agreements.
I mean, you have to teach common sense. Like, common sense is gone. It's a thing of the past.
Yes.
You literally have to like explain why now.
Yes, and a lot of these I've had to actually talk to members about in the gym. It's not all of them. Some of them you don't really want to approach someone and talk to them about. Yeah. But a lot of them. So let's start with the first one, which sounds obvious, but which you would think, oh, this is super obvious, but apparently it's not, because this always happens. Don't be smelly. Yeah. Don't be smelly when you go to the gym.
So one of my first clients that I ever inherited was this guy who didn't wear deodorant, and it was part of his culture not to. And he was adamant about it. Now, he smelled so bad that when I would come in for our session, like walk in the front, this was Capital McKee days, when I'd walk into the gym, I would know he was there.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Like that.
I know this brand.
No, it was that. It was so like so many members complained about it too. It was like and I had to train him, so I'm like spotting him and right underneath him all the time. It was so.
Did
rough.
you say anything to him?
No, I was so young, dude. I was only. This is my.
You weren't like, you know, we're going to train outside from now on. It's really good for you.
No, I mean, I didn't even have access to do that. What I did do is that if you've been to Capital McKee, right before you get back to the bathrooms, all the way in the back, there's this long hallway. And we would go in there and I would train by myself there. So I'd suffer for the entire hour.
Did he try to hug you when he say bye?
No, definitely not like that.
Yeah. No, we had this one member. You guys probably know him because we all worked in the same gym, not at the same time, but this guy was a longtime member. And he would get on the Stairmaster. It's all he ever did. And he'd put towels on the floor all around him. And he would sweat. And he wore the same workout clothes every time. And I know he didn't wash them, because he would smell so bad, and he'd go in there and he'd do his cardio. And I actually had to talk to him. I actually took him aside and I said, hey, man, I'm not going to say his name because I knew his name, but I'm saying, hey, listen, I love that you're consistent. We value you quite a bit. You come in, you work out all the time. You know, you're a great guy and everything. And I said, this is really embarrassing for me to say to you, but you smell offensive. And yeah, so
that's a hard conversation.
A really hard conversation.
I avoided that a few times as working with clients and at the gym, but I remember taking this guy aside and telling him when I was just a member of a gym, which this guy was always wearing a tank top and would always do pull-ups. I'm like, could you not pick a worse exercise and a worse outfit to highlight your body odor and offend everybody in here? And like, I actually, like, because it happened multiple times. Like the first two, I let it slide. And then I actually had deodorant in my bag in the locker room. So I went and grabbed that and I handed it to him and didn't say anything. And the guy was like confused. I'm like, please use this.
Dude, we sprayed deodorant under a guy's arms doing shoulder press one time. What? Yeah, because it was really bad.
It's like a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Oh, it totally is. This is bad management on my part. I was young. I was 19 years old as a kid. And we told him, and it didn't matter. And so I had my trainer go up to him, and I said, just when he does a press, just underneath.
Oh my God!
And
yeah, don't do that.
No, don't do that. But anyway, be aware. Don't be smelly.
Yeah, be aware. And here's one of the common ones that I think even somebody who has good hygiene doesn't realize this happens is gloves get stinky.
Yeah,
really bad. Yeah. So if you're a glove wearer when you go to the gym, be careful, because that'll creep up on you. You won't even have them that long, but if you had enough intense workouts wearing gloves, that sweat and leather is an awful combination and will stink like you stink. So pay attention to that if you wear gloves.
There's nothing more embarrassing than wearing gloves when you work out, except that the gloves smell. That's the only more embarrassing thing.
The double whammy right there.
Don't wear gloves.
It's already bad you're wearing gloves, and then they smell on top.
All right, so here's the next one, and this one is interesting. And I don't know if this happens in the women's locker room because I've never been in the women's locker room, but this happens in the men's locker room a lot, especially when I used to manage gyms. Members would come up to me on the workout floor sometimes, but never would members come up to me and talk to me more than when they were in the locker room naked. Yeah. I don't know what it was. I'd be in there just doing my walkthrough, and dude comes up. And by the way, old men do this.
It's an old man thing.
And this is what they do. Old men will put their shirt on, put their socks on, everything except for the bottom half of their whatever. And so they walk up to me, and I mean, it's a t-shirt, so it's kind of barely covering things. Just, stuff hanging out. Like, hey, Sal, what's going on? Hey, so what about the pool? Is that going to get fixed soon? Or what's going on with that machine? Or, it looks like it's pretty busy.
You see Tiger Woods the other day? And it's just like, just wafting it in front of me.
Super uncomfortable. I don't think it's appropriate to walk up to anybody and talk to them while you're naked, but don't do it at the gym.
I'm convinced it's an alpha thing. It's like
he's trying to show you what time it is.
Yeah, dude, because it's always the old guy. Not young teenage boys do that. Like it's like, or young guys even do that. It's like an old man thing. It's like, I'm the old gorilla in here.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you.
And in case you didn't know,
that's brilliant.
It's totally that.
What an alpha!
Because they even do like the stances. They even put like one leg up on the
bed.
Yeah,
dude.
So how you doing, Sal?
Yeah. And you're just like, and he's like, I showed him.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even think of it that way.
I'm convinced that's what it is.
I don't know if I'm old enough to pull that yet. I'm gonna try that next time. The guy that outlifts me,
dude. I had an old guy one time trying to ask me all this like training advice. He was like butt naked, and he was just like, "Yeah, I saw you out there with your clients, and can you show me this?" I'm like, "I'll show you another time." Like, I'll show you out there on the floor, and I think like he was like trying to get me to break it down there.
I had a member one time, and I told him like, "Don't. What are you doing? Don't do that." He always tried to talk to me when he was in the locker room, and he tried to give me the high five hug. Guys go like this and then do the hug, but he had nothing on. No, he does one of these to me,
hips back.
And I went like this, the fist bump, and I'm like, I'm not hugging you. You're naked. Oh, my bad.
It's this same guy, by the way, too. This same guy dries his junk off in the air dryer.
Yeah.
Or the air blower, whatever you call it.
Get that.
This is like international. I don't know.
Yeah,
what that
the air is now circulating in the air that's now been blown off. Your balls.
Yeah,
that's not cool.
And I mean, granted, they're probably clean because they just came out of the shower, but it's still weird.
I don't care.
It's still weird. I've seen some. I have walked in and seen like
we had signs
bending over, spreading their ass cheeks and drying off their.
We had signs. We had signs in two of the clubs I ran, and I had to put signs up.
We did too.
And I literally put on there, hand dryers are for hands only. I had to put that up there just because I was like, what do you guys, and they're positioned for hands, so they have to get in weird positions to dry themselves anyway. So it's kind of weird. All right, this next one, this one's a little bit more important. And a lot of people don't realize this unwritten rule. And there's a couple parts to it. So we'll start with the first part, which is if you're working out in a gym, especially if it's busy, let people work in. Okay, so if you're on a machine or you're doing squats or bench press or whatever, and somebody's like waiting or wants to whatever, allow them to work in. So while you're resting, they do a set. Now here's the kick. Here's the key to it. Whoever's working in, if you started the set and you're the first one to use that machine or that piece of equipment, the person working in is responsible for taking the weight off and putting it back on, or changing the weight or the adjustment and putting it back on. That's their responsibility. So that's the other part of it. Oh. But let people work in. I think it's such bad etiquette to do 5 sets on a machine, have someone wait, and to not allow them to do a set while you rest and do nothing. Because you see these guys now, especially with cell phones, people are texting in between sets, and it's like, dude, I want to use that machine. Let me come in.
Yeah, you're wasting everybody's time. I mean, that's just the thing. I think not a lot of people know about that.
They don't.
And
most people don't know.
Yeah, to even ask for that. And I think that's something that needs to be expressed, to new members especially. Like, hey, because it is frustrating, especially going peak hours. All of your plans for like machines, a lot of times that gets interrupted because, people will be like that. They'll be on their phone in between every set. They'll be doing 5, 6, 7 sets of the same thing. And you're like, when is this person ever going to stop? But you can ask politely like, hey man, can I work in? And can I get a set?
I feel bad for the beginner that one, doesn't know that, or two, is relatively new and then had a bad experience asking somebody the first time.
Yeah.
So then they just assume
Some
like,
people
oh,
are dicks about it.
Yeah, no, there's people, and that's the point of this like episode, right? Is really just be speaking to the dicks more than it is to be talking to the people that should know, like, you know, by the way, you should be able to do this. Yes, that doesn't mean though that you might run into somebody who is a dick that thinks that they have the right to that machine and they're going to use it for the next 15 to 20 minutes.
I got ego checked hard with this once. Like hard. I was maybe 15 or it was probably 16, and I'm doing squats, and a woman came up to me and said, "Do you mind if I work in?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And I go to take the weight off. She goes, "No, leave it on." And she does more reps than me. And I remember being, it was such an ego check as a teenage boy that this woman could, you know, and she was built, she'd been working out for a long time, but still, you know, you're a guy and your ego is sensitive, right? Especially at that age. But I let her work in or whatever. She ended up becoming cool, and we ended up, you know, being friends or whatever.
So I do think there's a little bit of a gray area here, or I think an area where we can elaborate. I think for certain, like if you, even though it's okay, I still think that you should be mindful of something like that. That ended up working out in the opposite
because then have to
direction.
change the weight.
Yeah, but like, so if you are a 17-year-old kid and you squat 135 and the power lifter in the gym is moving 450 and you want to come in and you want to work in with him, like,
you better move the weights fast. You better take the weights off and put them on fast.
And it's not very realistic.
Right.
You're going to move 450 pounds off a bar in
Right.
and out, right? So be mindful of who you go work in and then how much you plan to change. Like if you get into a fixed hoist shoulder press machine that has literally like a pin and like a seat adjustment, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But if you get into like maybe even like a free motion machine that moves arms all different directions and you're changing all the settings, or you use a cable machine and someone's pulling it from the bottom and now you want to move it up and change weight, like be mindful of like what you're doing and like how the time in between rest periods, that someone's rest periods may only be 1 minute long, maybe even a little less. And now you're working in and you're completely changing the weight out.
I'm glad you said that. It's the responsibility of the person working in to match the rest periods of the person that they jump into. Yeah. It's number one. Number two, it's your responsibility to put the weight back and the adjustments back to where they were before. And if it's not feasible, like if I'm doing a 500-pound deadlift and someone wants to jump in and put 135 on,
right,
probably not feasible unless you can hustle your ass.
No way. You cannot think about that. You cannot strip and put on back. Okay, because they got to break it down.
And don't ask me to help you, by the way. Now I usually will because I'm cool. But that's when you work in, you're assuming that responsibility. That's the other side of it.
To my point, I think that there's an etiquette point there on that person's right. So good gym etiquette is that you should allow people to work in. Well, the person who's asking to work in should also be mindful of what you're about to go use of theirs. Like you shouldn't, or like taking like someone's using an easy curl bar and they're doing school crunches and you want to strip it all down and use it for something else.
Yeah.
Like, you know, be mindful of what, if someone's doing the exact exercise you want to do and they're relatively close, they don't have to be that close, but relatively close to the weight and how you're going to use it. Like, okay, that's fine. But if you're going to take the equipment or take the machine and completely manipulate it or change it and your guys' weight discrepancy is huge, you got to be mindful of that.
Yeah. If there's a guy there, like in sort of, what do you call those? Like onesie, like power lifter uniform, you know, and he's like smacking chalk and he's got a ton of weight and you're just trying to come in there. Like you got to know like the seriousness of somebody like really getting after it. And like, you know, you can obviously see that, you know, it's going to interrupt.
But 9 out of 10 times though, it's a machine that's being used and there is only one of that machine.
In your regular commercial setting, you're not going to run into a lot of those.
Exactly.
I mean, squat racks are common too, though, because there's minimal squat racks.
They're starting to become. You're right.
Yeah,
it wasn't like
used
that
to not be that way before.
No,
but
back in the day.
That's why I wanted to bring up the squatting and deadlifting thing, because it has become popular. That at least my last years of being in the gym, many times if I came in there at a popular time, and this was back at Gold's that had 5 platforms and 5 squat racks, and I know that I'm deadlifting or squatting as my first thing, and I walk in and they're all taken. So I would have to, and what I would always do is I would look and see who's doing what and who is probably going to be moving similar weight to me. And that would be the person, or someone who I think is maybe on their last set. And I might walk up and be like, hey, how many more sets do you have left? And if they only got 1 or 2 more sets, maybe I'll wait. And then, maybe I'll go warm up a little bit and then I'll go jump over and get
right.
that.
Now here's one that is often written on the wall of a gym. And it's, this is more of a known rule, and yet people still don't do it. Yo, what's up, everybody? Do you want to get strong? Well, that's good because we're going to give away MAPS Strong. This is a strongman-inspired, unconventional lift workout program. Very good for building muscle, especially in the posterior chain. That's the backside of your body, starting from the traps all the way down to the calves. Great program. You can get it for free. Here's how you can win. Leave a comment below in the first 24 hours that we drop this episode. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. Do all those things. If we like your comment, we'll notify you in the comment section that you got free access to MAPS Strong. Also, we got a sale going on right now. The RGB bundle is 50% off. That includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic, plus some more free stuff. So that's half off. And then we also have an individual MAPS program that's on sale, MAPS Suspension. It's a suspension trainer program. All you need are suspension trainers, and you can train your entire body. Great program. That's also 50% off. Here's how you can sign up. Go to mapsfitnessproducts.com and then use the code July50 for the 50% off discount. All right, here comes the show.
Yeah.
You will never see me leave a single weight out, mainly because I manage gyms for so long. I know what a big pain in the ass this is,
Right.
where people, for some reason, here's a real common one. They'll take all the weights off except for one plate. It's like, why leave the one? Like, take them all off, right? Or even worse, they leave it completely on. Like, you go to the leg press and there's 10 plates on each side, and then some lady wants to use it. And you're like, really? You know, she's got to take all these weights off now just to do her exercise? Like, put your stuff away. Or dumbbells that are all over the place or mismatched. Oh my God, this is such a pain in the ass. And you can tell a good gym from a bad gym by how bad this is.
This is such a headache in gyms, and it's a consistent problem. It blows my mind too, because most of us are in there to get in better shape, and carrying your weight back is only going to burn more calories and build more strength. So freaking do the work.
Yeah.
Do the work and put it back. I remember I'll never forget doing this. This was pretty epic. It was in my early years. It wasn't my idea. It was actually one of the front desk guys who's been like one of those old powerlifter guys, and he'd work front desk just so he'd get a free membership. And he'd been in there forever. And so, and he worked the night shift, and I also worked late a lot of times. And he would get pissed when he'd come in there at like 10, 11 o'clock, and not a single dumbbell was on the rack, and it was just a mess. And we would announce it over the loudspeaker, re-rack your weights. And then finally one time he says, you know what, fuck this. We have to teach these guys to teach each other to do it, because we can't manage every single person here. So it's prime hours. It's like 6, 7 o'clock at night, right? He takes caution tape and he cautions off the entire weight room and gets on the loudspeaker and everybody clear out of the weight room, please, right now. And he stops everyone working out, and then makes everybody watch us re-rack the weights, and then tells everybody, going forward, I come in this weight room at this time of the hour, and if weights like this, we're going to stop everybody's workout every fucking time until you guys learn to re-rack your weight. I was like, holy shit. But I tell you what, but it made a huge difference, because then you started to see the other members managing the members. They would watch somebody else, where before members would be like, oh, whatever, not say anything. They'd leave it for the staff.
It's a culture.
Because and by the way, part of this problem, and part of the reason why it's good to do this episode, is that some members actually think that's the job of the people that work there. Mm-hmm. Their job is to re-rack the weights, because they see trainers and people in uniform.
I've never been to a gym where that's the job of the staff.
It isn't the job of the staff. But remember, you just recently talked in an episode about a guy who was increasing the weight on the Gravitron, thinking that he was getting stronger because it was helping him more, right? People are that clueless that they assume, oh, these people are on the clock, they have their uniforms on, they're floating around, they see them re-racking weights. And so some of these idiots actually think that, like, oh, that's their job. I just go lift weights and I can just leave them wherever, and then someone's paid to come pick it up. And it's like, no, those are people that are going out of their way to
one of the things I look at in a gym when I'm looking to, because I see it through the lens of gym manager, gym owner, and I'm sure whatever profession you're in, if you walk into a profession as a consumer, you just see it differently, right? So if you're a police officer, you get pulled over, you can see things differently. You know, if you're a doctor and you go to the doctors, you see things differently. Well, when I'd walk into gyms, I could judge pretty quickly if it's got a good culture. One of them is the front desk. That's a whole different conversation. But another one is how much of the weights are put away. Mm-hmm. When I walk in and I see, plates on machines and dumbbells off or whatever, I know the culture of that gym sucks. Yeah. Because a good gym culture, which, by the way, this can exist in a hardcore gym. You can have a good culture in a commercial gym. It's all about the way the staff creates the culture and what they enforce, and then the members themselves. If I walk in and I see equipment all over the place, I know it's a crappy culture, and I probably am not going to like working out there. And that's one really easy sign, is how much do the members respect the gym that they're working out in.
That's a really good point because it is. It's a sign
It's
of
a
leader.
respect
It's a sign of leadership in there. Somebody has built that culture that has
Correct.
taught not only the staff that they all help and pick up, and then that's bled into the members that are in there. It's a really good sign of a good gym.
Yeah,
when
you'll
you
see
walk
trainers
into-
leave equipment out in gyms like that.
Yeah.
You know, which
Yeah.
is, oh my God. If you were a trainer and you work for me and you
Yeah.
left equipment out, you're
Yeah.
fired
Yeah,
right
yeah,
away.
yeah.
All right, so here's another one which sounds obvious, but I remember at one point when I was managing gyms for 24 Hour Fitness way back in the day, so we're looking at, I don't know, 1999, maybe 2000, this became such an issue that we actually developed a rule around it. And this is the rule that is you need to wipe up your sweat after you're done using a piece of equipment. Sounds obvious, okay? But it got so bad at one point that 24 Hour Fitness back then passed a rule, and they said you must have a workout towel with you when you work out. If you do not have a workout towel, you're not allowed to work out. So either you have one or you buy one at the front desk. Now, I remember when this rule took place, we actually got a lot of conflict from members where people would walk in, "Where's your towel, sir?" "I don't have one." "Well, you have to buy one." And they just ignore the front desk person, walk by, or be a jerk or whatever. This became confrontational for like a few months in one of the gyms that I managed because the culture before was leave sweat everywhere. It took like 2 or 3 months before this became regular. And I remember that 2 or 3 month period, there were like 2 or 3 in-your-face confrontations with members, which I thought was silly. Like, why would you think to leave your filth on a piece of equipment that you're using with other people?
I actually was a part of the transition of the before and after also. I was there early years. In fact, one of the signature looks that I had was I wore a towel like almost like a quarterback did over and I started doing that because I had clients and that became like even my own clients who were being paid and I'm telling would forget because I was during the time of before and after, like when nobody was told to do that. And then all of a sudden we're telling the people that. So I began to carry the towel myself. So in case they forgot, I would wipe it up. And that's how that started. But that was a hard transition to get people to
Remember
do that.
that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I mean, people, again,
The culture was one
Yeah,
way.
they assume it's going to get cleaned out.
well,
behind
that
them.
and
That's-
members assume that if you want that done, then you provide a towel service. But what you don't realize is you're paying such a low membership fee for a gym like a 24 Hour Fitness. This is not a spa. You go to a spa, like you work at a Club One, they provide the towels.
Yeah.
And they have a laundry service, and it's expensive to maintain that.
Extremely.
Yeah, you're not getting a $19 a month membership and getting a towel
No, you'll
service.
pay 10 times as much for that.
Yeah, so you're not. So you got to understand that if you're paying that low in a gym, because that's the other thing too. You get asshole members who expect that. They think that like, oh, I have this membership, I pay for this membership. You should provide that stuff. It's like that's why you pay $19 and you don't pay $120 to go to like a club, a club whatever, Club
Sport.
One or Club Sport. That is like a spa where they do that. Type
Now,
of
I
stuff.
do think that this has become much more of an issue after COVID. I think now all gyms are like really big about it, and members are too. I see people now more than ever
Cleanliness is a
Well,
huge-
most
spraying equipment down and cleaning it
selling
after they're done.
point.
with-
So
Yeah.
most gyms now have, and most of your commercial gyms have, if you don't provide a towel service, you've now put the towels in a spray bottle in stations all over the gym.
or dispensers of like those wipes or whatever. I've seen that too.
Yeah, so that's pretty prevalent in most gyms now. That I mean, obviously, if I'm the member or if I'm talking to my audience, bring a towel, bring a small, hand towel, and carry it with you, and then you just wipe your own thing off, so you don't have to go over to the spray machine and do that all the time.
All right, so here's another one that isn't 100% across the board a rule. There are exceptions, but we'll explain them here in a second, which is don't drop your weights on the floor when you're done working out with them. And I would always tease members who did this and say, if you're not strong enough to lower the weight properly, then you shouldn't be lifting that much. Throwing weights on the floor is not only dangerous, it's also lazy. And it's also not respecting the equipment. Like I wouldn't throw, lots of pieces of equipment down on the floor for potentially damaging the equipment. Now, here's the exceptions. You're working out on a weightlifting platform.
That's the only
and bumper
place.
plates.
That's
right?
the only.
That's where you're
Bumper
supposed
plates
to
and the
drop.
weightlifting platform.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
I mean, to me, it's an easy thing to know where you can and you can't. If you're on a weightlifting platform, it's designed to take that.
I saw somebody actually
it
break.
damages the floors.
Somebody actually broke someone else's foot in one of the gyms I managed.
Yeah, dropping like 120-pound
and
dumbbells.
it flips and rolls.
It's common on the bench press. You see this all the time. You see guys max dumbbell pressing, and then they can't get the last rep of the 120s, and they drop them off.
There's
the
a
side.
way, by the way, because I get this. If you're handling really heavy weights, it's really hard to lower them super slow. But there's a way to let them fall where it's still under your control. And then there's the way where people literally
It's guided at least.
yes,
by your
where they
arms.
literally drop them and they end up flipping and rolling a couple times, which you hurt somebody that way.
Yeah, and I also think that if you're lifting dumbbells so heavy that you can't get it back up to get on your knees and then roll out of it, like you don't belong lifting that weight yet, dude.
Yeah.
Well, the only time this is acceptable really is at your home. You know, your home gym.
Oh, you do whatever the hell you want at
Yeah,
home.
do
I don't give a
whatever
shit.
you want.
Break
dude.
your
You
shit.
can lift naked.
You can walk around naked,
Yeah.
leave your sweat everywhere.
throw weights, destroy your own house, you know, go for it. But like when you're sharing a community in a community and you're trying to, you know, maintain the culture of everybody else around you, you got to be considerate of everybody else. That's just.
I mean,
so-
I've actually seen dumbbells break from people dropping them from dumbbell pressing.
Yep.
You know, like a heavy 120s like that, and it hit just right and wrong, and that's so much weight. It's snapped it.
I remember back in the day when I used to deadlift, back when deadlifts were not popular. So this is when I was the only one ever deadlifting in the gym. And the plates that we had were those stupid hexagonal ones, which that's the worst place to deadlift with because you put it down on the floor and it shifts the weight and then you got to readjust or whatever. And I mean, I you know, now I use bumper plates so I can drop the weight if I need to, but I would put them down carefully because especially if I drop one of those, because of the shape of the plates, it would shift or twist, and I would hurt myself if I wasn't careful. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, even like to your point with the dumbbells, like slamming down, I remember it loosened it up to where the next member used it and like it came apart while they're lifting the weight. So you just set somebody else up for potential injury.
Oh, crap. All right, here's another one. I hate this one. Sometimes it still happens to me. Don't talk to people mid-set. If they're in the middle of an exercise, don't approach them and start. You need to concentrate and focus on what you're doing. And I've had people do this to me where I'm in the middle of a set and someone starts talking to me and I've literally said, shut up. Like just look straight in and shut up because it's distracting. And to me, it's strange. What makes you think it's a good idea to talk to someone when they're working while they're in the middle of working out?
This is a tough one because it's less of a gym etiquette thing and it's more of a self and social awareness thing. This is like the same person who's like the close talker or the same person that just doesn't get the sign that you're not wanted to be here right now. Like it's that same person.
They don't
like
pick up on it.
Because I feel like before you even say something like shut up or you become an asshole, like your body language is already telling you you're not interested in talking to me. I'm talking to you. You're not even looking at me anymore. You're starting your curls or whatever you're doing. It's like I would pick up on that signal like, oh, he wants to get his workout in and be like, oh, hey, I'll talk to you later, bro. But some people are so oblivious and so unsocially aware that they don't pick up on that. So to me, it's less of an etiquette thing, and they don't even. That's more of this person needs to work on their self-awareness.
You know, it reminds me of when you're at the dentist and the dentist has your mouth open.
Oh yeah,
and they're putting stuff in
They
there.
ask you
They're like, hey, so
questions.
how's your weekend?
I just had dental work done not that long ago, and it's so funny you bring that up because I was thinking the same thing too. I'm like,
why were you
choking on your
expecting
own
me to say-
spit.
why are you asking me questions? And then too, like you'll ask me a question, and then like 2 seconds later, be hold on, and then she'll be doing something. I'm like, you just asked me something.
It
Like,
has to be all rhetorical questions.
Yes,
you just answer your own.
I just
thoughts.
answer like, That's all I say.
Yeah.
I know. I love it. All right, here's another one. We just talked. I mean, the first one was don't be smelly. This is part of it. Don't wear a lot of perfume or cologne when you're working out. This is super annoying. It gives people headaches. It makes me nauseous.
Yeah.
so I'm gonna
can't stand this.
add to that. That's like, and I don't know if this falls under gym etiquette or it's just like so I think there's like getting ready, like, and this happens a lot. Like you see girls, guys do it too, though. Guys and girls both do, but girls you see.
Oh, there's some obnoxious colognes.
When you put on makeup to go to the gym, like you put on like a bunch of makeup. Like I understand if you came straight from work, that's totally different, right? Coming from work and you worked all day, and
You could tell people get ready for the gym. It's
oh
weird.
yeah, you could definitely tell, and you intentionally you don't. Wear a hair tie and you wear your hair down and stuff like that. It's like there's things where you can see where somebody and it's repeated. Like it's like, oh, every I'm sure every woman has forgot a hair tie. I'm sure she's come straight from work before. But then there's like the girl who consistently comes and who is completely made up. As there is the guy who does the same thing, who gets his hair all done like all nice and he's got his outfit that matches and it's perfect and stuff like that. And I get you feel good, you look good. I get that whole thing. But there's a point to that where I think it's a little ridiculous when you're putting on cologne and perfume and you think you're going to the nightclub versus you're going to the
I
gym.
would rather, I'm going to say a controversial statement. I would rather work out next to someone with like moderate BO than strong cologne or perfume. The cologne or perfume makes me nauseous while I'm working out.
I would agree with that because I'm really
like
sensitive to
dizzy
cologne.
and nauseous with it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And so don't do that. Don't spray like these strong smells on you and then work out because it messes people up.
To kind of add to that, there's also been issues for me is like some people like bring their lunch in the weight room, like and they're eating, and you get all these disgusting.
That's like a bodybuilder thing, right?
Food,
there.
tilapia and rice. What are you doing, bro?
Dude, get out of here.
I'm gonna call my bodybuilder buddies out for that one.
I want to slap people that do
because
that.
they don't want to miss the anabolic window.
Yeah.
I got
Yes,
my food.
dude,
I just finished. Let's eat my
no
tilapia.
food in there, dude. Get out of here with that.
Oh, there was a guy that would when I worked out for a short period of time at Gold's, the same one you went to, Adam. And there was a dude that tilapia and broccoli.
Yeah,
the two worst foods.
No, I had
possibly-
100%. I have some friends that are super guilty of this, like because they would be in the gym for 2.5, 3 hours. That's why.
Yeah.
And they eat every 2 hours. They eat every 2 hours, and because they're eating so many calories, and so they would absolutely have 1 or 2 meals prepared in their gym bag, and they would stop.
You might as well just sleep in the locker room.
Yeah,
you know,
100.
It's their house. You know, now it's their house.
All right, so this next one, it was always kind of an issue, but not a huge issue. Then CrossFit happened.
Yes.
And all of a sudden,
This is the bad thing that came from. We give them the credit for the squats and the deadlifts, making that popular again.
But don't hoard a bunch of equipment and dumbbells. And I mean, CrossFit happened, and all of a sudden, you'd see members with like 6 different pieces of equipment and exercise strung together. Like, these are mine. I'm doing my giant circuit
and then
with
they're
this.
handstand walking in your way, like, dude, get out of here.
No, don't hoard crap. If you're going to use a bunch of stuff, sometimes I've done giant sets, but I also accept that if somebody grabs something, that I'm not going to hoard it. Somebody grabs it, I'm going to figure out an alternative. I'm not going to go be like, that's mine.
Okay, so where this happens, and this and CrossFit is really guilty for a lot of people doing this. Doesn't mean that other people don't too, but they are following a WOD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And let's say like that WOD requires 80 for their strength, 80-pound dumbbells, and they also have to do pull-ups and deadlifts and some other and a rower or something like that. They bring it all over to that area. So but now they've got the 90-pound dumbbells for the next 22 minutes or wherever it takes to get this.
And then they go out on like a couple-mile run and leaving all that shit there for nobody like to use. And they come back, hey, I'm working here.
Do you know what I used to do? So I'm an asshole like this.
Go join a CrossFit club.
No, what I used to do,
go get a box.
What I used to do is I would see this happen, and it's literally
all of it.
like supersets, fine, 2 exercises, no big deal. And then again, if you're going to use multiple machines or exercises, leave them where they're at. You travel to go get it. Yeah, you travel, go get it. And if someone's using it, then you figure it out. That's the way I would do it.
So that's my point. But the reason why they don't is because, CrossFit's for time.
That's okay.
Yeah. So they're trying to improve their time. And that's why that happened, was because it's a time thing. And that's wasted time to walk over and get the dumbbells. So they would want to put it in
That's
their
okay.
session.
You're sharing a gym with a bunch of other people. This is not a CrossFit gym.
No, I agree. That's why it should be talked about, because it's not okay.
You got to be considerate.
Go to a fucking CrossFit box if you want to do that.
Yes. So what I used to do when people would do that is I would purposefully
re-rack their shit.
I would go and use whatever. I'd wait. Oh, he's about to use it, and I go over there and start doing some shrugs.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just get in their way.
I know. I'd do the same thing.
Or I'd bring a client over there. We're gonna use this machine today, and just wait for them to just get annoyed and be like, "I please say something."
Needed
to
this.
Me. Yeah, dude.
I needed it.
I hate that. But that wasn't a thing. CrossFit happened. Then it became a big thing for a little while.
Yeah.
Not so much of a thing.
And
anymore.
so under the hoarding equipment is the same category too, and it's a different type of person, but is also guilty of like sitting on the machine for 25, 30 minutes. You've seen that before,
dude.
too.
Before this was back in the
Reading
days.
newspaper.
Yes,
right.
This is before.
There's always a guy like that.
Before smartphones were a thing, there were dudes that used to literally bring newspaper to the gym. They would do a set and then they'd read the newspaper in between for 10 minutes.
I had a lady one time that I had to check that used to read romance novels on the leg press. That's a real thing. I swear to God, dude. She'd get the leg press.
Fuels her fire.
And we only had like 2 leg press machines. You know what I'm saying? Of course, leg press is a popular machine.
Was it the one with your picture on it?
This is before my romance novel days, right? So she would sit there and she would read her romance novel, do a set of leg pressing, go back to read a chapter, and then go get.
Bro, the worst is I would see sometimes people read while doing the exercise.
I've seen that too.
I don't understand that.
Same lady's done that. Actually.
Yeah, like how are you able
How does
to
that work?
Yeah, how are you doing leg extensions while you're reading? Like, you sure that's enough weight?
Yeah.
You might need to add a little weight.
You might
there.
want to focus a little bit.
All right. So this last one's kind of funny. It's kind of a joke, but and this may be a personal one. I don't think anyone in this room likes this.
I don't think it's a joke.
Yeah, this is pretty.
Yeah.
It's serious for us.
Yeah.
But there's a thing where guys will wear really tight spandex workout pants, and I'll wear them too because I like the way they feel when I work out my legs. However, I always either wear shorts
over them
or pants over them. If you're gonna wear tight ass spandex pants
And you're a dude.
wear something over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody wants to see, we don't want to determine your
We don't want to
religion
see the
by
vein
looking
in
at
your balls. I've seen that before. I've had members complain, like come to me
moose
and be
knuckle and everything.
Yeah, that was so fitted and so tight that they're like, you have to get this guy out of the gym. Like, this is so inappropriate. I can see the vein in his balls. Yes, that's exactly how I approached him.
I don't want to be able to. I don't want to be able to know your religion by looking at your pants.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh,
come on, guy.
Yes,
you're circumcised.
Yeah,
please cover that up. Yeah,
and that is 100% guy thing. It's a guilty guy thing that does that. There's a handful of dudes that you'll find in a gym that absolutely do that. That will rock those spandex and they're super tight.
It's performance enhancement, or
dude.
whatever.
There was a guy.
No,
there was a guy that worked that used to work out at one of my gyms. Used to wear a wrestling singlet. That's it. So it's like really tight, but just a wrestling singlet. You just walk in like, what's going on here, dude? Are we gonna do some wrestling?
Wow.
I hate to try to throw that guy out.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. He had a cauliflower ear. He's cool. He can work out. Anyway, there you have it. Look, if you like the show, head over to mindpumpfree.com and check out our guides. We have guides that can help you with almost any health or fitness goal. You can also find all of us on social media. So you can find Justin on Instagram at mindpumpjustin, Adam on Instagram at mindpumpadam, and you can find me on Twitter at mindpumpsal. How do I incorporate cardio and not lose muscle? I've seen people do this before where they'll start to lose the sharpness of their muscles or they'll start to lose the sculpt a little bit. And that's disheartening. But if you do it right, then you minimize that muscle loss or that metabolism slowdown. In fact, if you do it right, you can actually speed up your metabolism at the same time that you build stamina and endurance. You just have to be able to kind of program it properly. And the way to program it improperly is just to go and do as much cardio as you can for as long as you can.
Right.